Pumas facing off against each other, and they are now allowed to start, ready to start into the action. They go. And he starts things off with activating Wanted into the Diabellstar Witch. And yep, that is it for the moment. Now he's thinking. Thomas, on the other hand, of course, has a deck that is very, very popular, that a lot of people, of course, love. And that is going to be the Tearlaments strategy that he is piloting here with major success so far in the tournament, still being only with one loss throughout the entire tournament. He paired up his Tearlaments cards together with the Horus cards that have been quite popular today. We saw them together with Snake Eye. We just saw them as a somewhat poor control strategy, but now we see them paired up together with the most expected version of the deck, I would say, together with Tearlaments. Okay, we're going to place that Flamberge into the spell and trap zone there. And let's see how this continues to go. There comes Oak. Oak activating its effect. We bring back the... or we bring out the Snake Eye Ash. Everyone, we are aware we are currently fixing the camera, so give us a second and then we are going to be fine with that and we can enjoy this last round of the day. We just searched out Poplar. Poplar has used its effect, summoned itself to the field as well. Now, it seems like we're going to go into the extra deck for the first time. And yeah, what is it though? Niklas cannot decide just yet. Niklas, one of the German players making their way over to the tournament here today. Okay, we're placing that Flamberge back into the spell and trap zone. Continuing to link climb here into... what is this going to be? I'm assuming this could be... was there an... okay, that is... yeah, that is Celine here. We are using a spellcaster, of course, so that does work. Celine activates its effect. We have in total 3 spell cards available, one of them being a Flamberge, but currently being treated as a spell card, of course. And therefore, Celine will gain 3 counters, making herself able to summon out a spellcaster from the graveyard. We bring out Appaloosa there as well. And that means we are safe to activate the effect of our Snake Eye Oak there. And no response from Thomas. I mean, any kind of monster effect you would try to use here would be met with the negate of it anyhow, of that Appaloosa. So we are going to summon out... oh, that is actually one that I didn't really expect there. I mean, we already went through Flamberge, so it does make sense that we just bring out the Snake Eye Diabellstar there instead. What is next, though? Does Niklas have anything else? He's considering his options. Looks like we're going to activate the graveyard effect of Wanted. Trying to draw an additional card. Is it going to be a meaningful one here for this game, number 1? Because Thomas, with his Tearlaments strategy that he has entered the tournament with, is going to definitely apply a lot of pressure even going second, because that is what that deck is designed to do. It can do so many things. It can just go for a lot of summons, as we've seen plenty today. The Tearlaments strategy, for sure, over a year ago was the complete powerhouse, was like the main contender in the meta game. At this point, it has diminished a little bit. Definitely is still viable, but it's not played as much as it was back in the day. We are going into into Promethean Princess now. Promethean Princess will use its effect, bring back Snake Eye, Flamberge. The Flamberge Dragon is there. Flamberge now, of course, going to use its effect, trying to put that IP Masquerade into the Spare and Trap Zone as well. And what is next? So far, Thomas just looking at his hand. I think I see a couple of trap cards, and he just doesn't really do anything so far. Okay. Yo, that is interesting. I like that approach of Nicholas. I was really questioning whether just going for the Bestial Dispater and the Omega package in the extra deck, still the Synchro package, just replacing Bottled Savage Dragon and replacing Baron de Fleur is the way to go. And in my opinion, it is not really. And Niklas therefore decided we are not going to do that. We are instead going for the pure Link approach, and we are going for that Pit Knight early there, which I love. Pit Knight early is such a beautiful and interactive card with our opponent, and that's super, super... I like that. I like that as part of our end field. I think that was first kind of discovered and explored over in the OCG, and now people are adapting for it in the TCG as well, and Niklas is one of the people playing this here in the tournament. But over to Thomas's, and Thomas just starts the turn off with the classic normal summon Rhino Heart. That is being negated by the Appaloosa. Okay, we are also going to activate the effect of Tearlaments. Oh, that is interesting. We let that resolve. We let the Tearlaments Kashtira resolve, and we have to banish Tearlaments Salik from our hand. I mean, when Niklas sees that we're activating Tearlaments Kashtira in our hand without having any cards in our graveyard, I kind of get just letting that through, but now the on-field effect to send cards from the deck to the graveyard, maybe that one is the one that he wants to negate instead. Oh, I see. Okay, yeah. I now just realized it wasn't even possible to negate that card because we went just Chainlink 1, Rhino Heart, Chainlink 2 Appaloosa to negate, and then of course when we chain it, as it is a quick effect, the Tearlaments Kashtira, then we're not able to negate it anymore, as Appaloosa is only once per chain, of course. Foolish Burial next, though. After we have decided to also negate the effect of Tearlaments Chiron on the field, Foolish Burial, of course, is a way to keep on extending here. What is the card of choice going to be? Which card are we sending? We played 3 copies of Tearlaments Salik, so it was no surprise that we did draw into that one. Speaking of 3 copies, though, how about now being able to play 3 copies of Destiny Hero Malicious again? And one of them has just been sent to the graveyard through the effect of Foolish Burial. And yeah, thanks to the recent update of the Forbidden and Limited list, we are again able to run the full, and that means 3 copies package of Destiny Hero Malicious. Summoning out another copy now by banishing the first one. And yeah, as I said, like Tearlaments certainly is a deck that can just summon out a lot of monsters with ease. And Niklas now probably trying to figure out whether he wants to do something about all of that. But so far, no response. So far, only the 2 Appaloosa negates. We're putting in the work already, and let's see whether Niklas wants to do anything else besides that at some point. So, Thomas, you have to find a way to do this now. I mean, honestly, maybe even just going into the battle phase here is kind of appealing. Just because we have monsters on the field with decent attack points. We can run over the Appaloosa. We can run over the Pit Knight early. Yeah, look at that. We just go into the battle phase. The Destiny Hero Malicious is going to attack over the Appaloosa, dealing 800 points of damage. And then we can also attack over the Pit Knight early, of course. Yep, Pit Knight early, also gone now. So, seems like we didn't really get to activate the effect of Pit Knight early there on the field. I was praising this package, I was praising Pit Knight early, but here in that case, it didn't do too much, it didn't get to activate its effect, because there's a very special need. There's a time where you can only activate the effect of Pit Knight early, and that is when a monster that is pointed to by a linked monster is activating its effect, then you can activate the effect of Pit Knight early to target one monster on the field, negate its effects, and also put its attack to 0. Now, on the Summon of Dark, we decide to trigger the effect of our field spell, of our Snake Eye field spell, bring out IP Masquerena, immediately use the effect of IP Masquerena, using itself and the Flamberge Dragon to bring out SP. SP is going to be used to banish the Dark, and we're also, of course, going to use the effect of Flamberge Dragon in the graveyard to bring out 2 more level 1 fire monsters. And Thomas now, with 2 cards left in his hand, those 2 cards have to be good, not gonna lie. If he wants to continue to push here in main phase 2, that is definitely required to have some good cards there for him, for sure. Specifically, Pit Knight early even itself needs to point to the monster that activates an effect. So it cannot be any monster pointing toward a card. It has to be Pit Knight early pointing to a card with his link arrows to then negate a monster on the field. So, Thomas, any way to extend, any way to stay in this game? Because if this is just the end of his turn, there is nothing more happening. And Thomas, we also have 1 singular copy of Druid's Worm. But that is also combined with another copy of Druid's Worm in the main deck already, and a Magnamoot chilling in the main deck already too. And therefore, in total, we could make that 3 Bestials. But let's see whether those are being drawn here. First of all, though, Thomas is going to activate the effect of Imsadi, discarding himself a copy of Tearlaments Salik. He loves opening that, searches himself King Sarcophagus, and draws an additional card. Nothing on resolution from Niklas there. And we activate Tearlaments Scream. And we also activate the effect of Tearlaments Kashtira, banishing, this time from the graveyard, which is so much more convenient, so much better. And now our task is to mill a bunch of cards as we can trigger both of the effects of Tearlaments Scream and also Tearlaments Kashtira. Oh, but that wasn't too beautiful. It kind of only was Tearlaments Salik. I mean, Tearlaments Salik is guaranteeing us to search for a play there from our deck. And in that case, that is going to be Tearlaments Rhinoheart. But when you're milling 6 cards, you kind of want to get more than just 1 effect off. But so far, we have to only be satisfied with that 1 effect to immediately be activated. Normal Summon Rhino. Yup, Rhinoheart does what it's doing best. It is sending 1 Tearlaments monster from the deck to the graveyard. That is Hafnis. Tearlaments Hafnis is going to activate its effect in the graveyard too. Nicholas quickly checking. Maybe thinking about activating one of those Bestials I was talking about. But no, we are just going to use Hafnis together with the Imsadi. And we're going to Fusion Summon out from using materials from our graveyard to bring out Mud Dragon. Mud Dragon and Tearlaments Rhinoheart are immediately going to be combined. Rank 4 summon of Bahamut Shark. Bahamut Shark is going to use its effect, detaching the Rhinoheart. So it looks like Thomas has a good setup here, because when you're doing the totally awesome early on, I would assume that there is more to be expected. King Sarcophagus, sure, that one was searched, so we even knew about that one. And we're going to bring out another copy of Imsadi as we milled another one, and they're also as happy. So I think this one is definitely a decent setup, but we're in for a treat here. We're in for some serious Tearlaments gameplay. There comes Zombie Vampire now. That's a good rank 8 to play if you're a Tearlaments player. Using those Horus monsters, very, very good, by allowing ourselves and our opponent to send the top 4 cards from our deck to the graveyard. And then we can decide 1 monster to summon. Ooh, the last card was a Merly. I was about to say, just milling spells and traps here is not good, but that last card is a Merly, so that could be a good card to summon out. And yes, we do settle on that card to be summoned. And now we trigger the Merly, and we also trigger the Scream. And also, as we banish the Salik, we can even trigger the effect there of Tearlaments Grief in the graveyard. Oh wait, it's Heartbeat rather. And Merly is going to send some more cards from the top of our deck to the graveyard. What are we finding this time? That is a Malicious. Oh, there's another Malicious though. We take 1 Malicious, but why the second one? 1 Malicious is perfect, but another one is not great. until a couple of weeks ago, that would have even meant that you would not be able to activate malicious at all anymore. But now, with free malicious being legal, that of course still means that you can at least summon out one more from the deck. So, Thomas, where do we go with that? We still have so many monsters on the field. It has been a common theme today with the Horus engine, and that is probably what is why the Horus engine is so appealing to so many players. It's printing monsters on the field, basically. You have so many monsters that you can use for different kind of purposes. As we see, we can go into Exceeds with it. We can just link them off. Honestly, by just watching all the Horus decks today, I want to play some kind of Horus deck again myself, because this engine is just all so powerful. So, yep, we can still, as I just explained, use the effect of Malicious, as there's a third copy of that card in our deck. And the deck is getting thinner and thinner. With all the Tearlaments effects resolving, of course, there isn't even that many cards left in the deck. Best case scenario would be to just somehow bring another level 6 monster to the field to then go into Beatrice, but it doesn't look like we have access to that. We're going to link off the SP and the Malicious to go for Sprite Sprint now. That is interesting. And there's only one Merly in his deck, so what even would be a level 2 monster that he wants to send here? I'm kind of thinking maybe he actually just wants Sprite Sprint as an interruption, because there is Exceed monsters on his field. He could just, when his opponent is summoning, oh my, we do have the Nibiru, and we're not even responding. Hold on, why did we not try to negate that with Totally Awesome? He wasn't even trying to negate the Nibiru of Totally Awesome there for some reason. So, Nibiru resolves. Totally Awesome has just been tributed away. And now we use the graveyard effect of Totally Awesome. Maybe Thomas is like, hey, I'm actually better off resolving this, because that meant that Merly was used. That Merly went through the graveyard through Nibiru, and we could trigger the Merly. Now summon out the Destiny Dangerous from our extra deck. Also, additionally, one card that could profit off of that would be Triple Tactic Talents. And if we would have negated the activation of Nibiru of Triple Tactic Talents, that would have meant, with the Totally Awesome, that would have meant that we could not activate Talents, because then it is treated as it never would have been activated, because the activation was negated. But in that case, after resolving Nibiru, we can have a proper look at our opponent's hand with the Triple Tactic Talents. Yeah. It looked weird at first sight, but I mean, these guys know what they do. They're here, X1, round 7 at the Dutch National Championship, but now Thomas is shaking his head, because we see there's a Witch, we see there's a Bonfire, we see there's a Wanted. Those options are good for Niklas. I think we go after Bonfire, and still there's Snake Eye Ash and Wanted left in the hand. So Niklas definitely has a great hand to play going second. There comes the effect of Malicious. Malicious summons out a second copy from the deck. And as I said, we may be struggling to get 2 level 6 monsters onto the field, but here is Thomas just getting those and getting Beatrice onto the field as well. Dangerous is being detached. We send one card from our deck to the graveyard. That is Trivi Karma. Trivi Karma now is being used, banishing itself to search out for either a Polar Rhino or a Salik. But I think we already searched for Salik, and therefore there would not really be the need for that anymore. So, oh, is there a target? He was contemplating. Come on, Thomas, we need you to make a decision, and it looks like we decided on Tearlaments Grief, ultimately. That was not the card I would have expected, honestly, but there it is. Okay, we now use Grief. Okay, Grief is our way to keep on playing, basically, because now we can get Shiren to the graveyard. Shiren is using its effect, using itself as one of the fusion materials, of course, but also, what are we going for here? We're going to use that Rhino Heart. Okay, I see. That is leading into a very clear direction. Shiren, Rhino Heart, and Totally Awesome are going to make up for a pretty nice Tearlaments Kaleido Heart, of course. Thomas brings out Kaleido Heart defense position. Now, of course, meaning we can shuffle that Nibiru back into the deck. And even though the hand of Niklas is powerful, still the field that Thomas put out here through that Nibiru isn't bad either, and he has complete information about the hand of Niklas. Yes, he knows that there are strong cards waiting for him, but he knows which ones those are, and therefore, I think this could be good enough. I'm satisfied with what Thomas put up there, because Beatrice gives him a lot of flexibility. We have Tearlaments Scream being potentially able to also give him good cards from the top of his deck being milled whenever something is summoned. So, and then there also still is Tearlaments Sullik set in the back row, which he added back off of that Tearlaments Heartbeat. Okay, but actually, we just have to check something real quick. There comes the effect. Oh, there's Cosmic Cyclone for the Sullik, so Niklas actually does have a response. We're banishing the Sullik there real quick. And we're milling 3 cards off of Tearlaments Scream. Hold on, everyone. We need to see how this plays out. Thomas performing a fusion summon here, of course. Going for Dragostapelia on top of all of that. And yeah, that was the only card that was unknown there. It was the card that he drew for turn there, that Cosmic Cyclone. Every other card was known due to Triple Tactic Talents resolving. But that Cosmic there, coming in very, very clutch, not gonna lie. So, considering the options here, I mean, it's still, like, there's still that Kaleido Heart on the field. Kaleido Heart can be triggered on purpose, reactivating the effect of Beatrice as well, and therefore that is going to be quite the challenge. Okay. Going into Anima, of course, we purposefully placed that Nibiru token in that zone. And therefore, we are going to be able now to go after it with the Anima. But first of all, we're using Poplar to put the Flamberge into the Spell Trap zone. We aren't going to respond to Anima's effect being activated. Yeah, again, Thomas knows what's expecting him now. That Cosmic Cyclone, the one unknown variable in the hand of Niklas, was early on activated. And therefore, now he plays only against known cards. Diabolster Witch coming in. Original setting. He sets the original with that. Thomas, does he have additional answers from his hand? Or is his field maybe even going to be enough to deal with what Niklas is trying to put up here? At some point he will go for Beatrice. We just have to figure out what the correct timing is. We just have to figure out when we want to go for that Beatrice, because that pretty certainly means that we're not only going to send something impactful from our deck with Beatrice, but also that will be our timing to activate the effect of Kaleido Heart. We now go into Dark. We go into the Dark Charmer, and honestly, with the Dark Charmer, that kind of feels like a bait. Because when your opponent summons out the Dark Charmer and you have the Beatrice Kaleido Heart combination going, it almost, to me, looks like he's saying, hey, don't you want to shuffle away that Dark here? Because that Dark otherwise is going to capitalize heavily. But we are just, first of all, going to use Tearlaments, Kashtira, and we are going to mill 3 cards from the top of our deck. And one of them is Tearlaments Rhino Heart. But can we activate the effect of Tearlaments Rhino Heart? Looks like we can. We summon out Rhino Heart, discard a copy of Salik. That even is a pretty decent discard there. And I'm also not 100% sure whether we have Mujora or Kaldo in the graveyard there, because if those are in the graveyard, that Dark honestly doesn't fear me a single bit, because we can just shuffle back our own cards and then we have no problem with that Dark even activating. Okay, that resolved. We do decide now to activate the effect of Kaleido Heart, and we have a... Awesome, that was interesting to me. Okay, but here it comes. Game number 3 for a last time for today, because this is the last round of Swiss for day number 1. We are going to see some more Yu-Gi-Oh! Being played out, and Niklas is the one starting things off, and he is showing us that it's not only pure Snake Eye, but that there is Kashtira cards in there as well, as he discards the Kashtira Birth for the effect of Diabel Witch. But we are chaining Hafnis, and are we milling something good? Ooh, those were not the hits we were looking for. We did get to mill the top 3 cards of our deck, which could have snowballed into so many different things. Of course, Fusion Summons, the main thing we were looking for, but that only were 2 kind of useless cards, and then Trivi Karma, which in theory is nice because it gets us to another card, but it doesn't get us any impact here on our opponent's turn. It is not helping us to immediately put on pressure on our opponent, and we get to special summon out the Poplar. Poplar searches out Temple. Temple is being activated as well, and we are going to put one of our cards from the deck in the spell and trap zone now. That's usually either Oak or Snake Eye Diabellstar, or Flamberge Dragon even, but it is in that case going to be the first option I was thinking of, that Snake Eye Oak. Using Ash, sending Oak in itself. This is where the Flamberge Dragon comes in. Yeah, just a very solid opening here for Niklas. Just the standard combo pretty much that he's able to play out here. And no, please note that also he has not normal summoned yet. So if there is some kind of cool normal summon, that might still also become a factor here. Link to IP Masquerena, using the effect of Flamberge. Sure, let's bring back 2 monsters, but let's also use the effect of Poplar to put Flamberge into the spell and trap zone. And now we're going to make 3 monsters out of those 2 because Snake Eye Oak has not used its effect to bring back 1 monster from the graveyard. Then the Link 3 is going to be summoned. The Link 3 of choice of any kind of fire deck. Of course, the card from Phantom Nightmare. Of course, Promethean Princess. Promethean Princess is going to use its effect, bringing back Poplar. And Poplar and Promethean Princess are going to be linked off into... What is that going to be? Is that Raging Phoenix? Oh, it's Hita. Okay. That is telling us that we're just going to go into Selene here, most likely. Yeah, true. We just go for maybe Appaloosa Flamberge. That could be the setup that we're trying to set up here. Selene going to bring back the Diabellstar Witch. Both the Selene and the Diabellstar Witch making place for Appaloosa. And Appaloosa versus the deck that Thomas is piloting versus Tearlaments, specifically Tearlaments Horus, is just very much a powerhouse. Try activating Amseti from your hand when your opponent has Appaloosa on the field. It ain't doing too much. You are just discarding 2 cards and your opponent only loses 1 negate of their Appaloosa. So that is definitely a problem here for Thomas, seeing that Appaloosa on the field. Next up, we have 3 cards that are being set to the Spell and Trap zone. And I was telling you what kind of options there are for Niklas. So is there an Anti-Spell Fragrance? Is there Solemn Judgment? Those would be crucial, of course. But first of all, there is the Field Spell. There is the Pearl Rhino. But that is met with Cosmic Cyclone. Okay, so we still kept in the Cosmic Cyclones. Niklas paying 1,000 life points here to get that Pearl Rhino immediately off of the field again. Now, going to the deck anyways. Yeah, resolving the effect of Trivial Karma, searching ourselves a copy of Tearlaments Scream. Alright, how to approach this. This is actually a really good way to play around that Appaloosa. I was just saying Appaloosa, big threat to the Tearlament strategy, but when we have the option to go Chainlink 1, Reinhardt, Chainlink 2, a spell that is not affected anyhow by that Appaloosa, that is pretty solid stuff. So that Tearlament Scream certainly helping him here to play through stuff. And Solemn Judgment though on the summon of Reinhardt. Solemn Judgment on the summon of Rhinoheart. I think there is some confusion because Thomas, it looked like Thomas was already announcing Chainlinks. So I think they will have to clarify now whether Niklas was still thinking on the summoning window. But yeah, it is confirmed. So we did pay half of our life points in that case, 3,500 of them to negate the summon of Rhinoheart. Now Rhinoheart is going to use its effect, discard another copy of Rhinoheart. There's also a drop. Oh, I see. Yeah, we discarded another copy of Rhinoheart to trigger... Oh, no, even better. So, I now picked up what happened there. We activated the effect of Rhinoheart in the graveyard. That was met by Appaloosa on the side of Niklas. And that was met by the Forbidden Droplet of Thomas. And now, even better, we did not have to discard for our Rhinoheart anymore because the last Tearlaments card that we had in hand was sent as cost for Forbidden Droplet. And in that case... if you already activated the effect of Tearlaments Rhinoheart legally, you can still resolve it without discarding anything. So actually a very sweet sequence here for Thomas that could somehow still get him ahead here in this game. And we do mill pretty decently well here again. Oh, yes, we do get to resolve the effect of Tearlaments Shiren here. Thomas is fighting his way into this game. And additionally to that, he only has to overcome 3,500 life points here. As Niklas did not only activate that Cosmic Cyclone, but also that Solemn Judgment. Not gonna lie, Solemn Judgment maybe not the perfect card against Tearlaments, because we just saw it actually enabling the Rhinoheart in the graveyard. Looked like a really good setup for Niklas, but Thomas is just completely in this. And he also even is ahead in life points here right now. And we are looking into a Link 2 apparently, or not. We do. We use that Rhinoheart that was summoned from the graveyard, therefore it is being banished. Together with Hafnis, and we are going into a Dark. This is intense. This is very intense, and this again, to me, like the last game Niklas used this technique, but now Thomas, or me, kind of baiting either the Princess or the IP Masquerena. But in that case, we do go after it with the Princess. We're chaining IP Masquerena to the Princess as well. So both of these things are going to come in here. Interestingly enough, Thomas did not decide to protect from that Princess, because we have that Muddragon there face up on the field. So we could have just, before summoning out the Dark, activate the effect of Muddragon to protect from any kind of targeting effect that we have there with the Princess. But maybe Thomas was alright with this. Maybe he was alright with that. Okay, we are going to now have a look at the graveyard, using the effect, of course, of Modora, ruling out the effect of Lumberch Dragon. So we were pretty fortunate with sending that Mujora there from the top of our deck to the graveyard, playing around the effect of Flamberge, which is just the endless resource of this deck. And now the question is, do we have something to search off of Dark? Is there still a Dark monster with 1,500 or less defense in our deck that we can grab off of this here? And there is! There's Shiren! Shiren is such a huge extender. I'm sure we already used the graveyard effect of Shiren, but that doesn't mean we already used the in-hand effect. And that means we're going to get a monster onto the field if we have another card to discard. That is a monster, and also we're going to send 3 additional cards from the top of our deck. I think Thomas has a chance of actually getting here, even though there still is an SP. But let's face it, we can play around that SP by just having the Mud Dragon. There comes Talons. We held that Talons until now. We held it for super long, but here it comes in handy. I think Nicholas is out of cards in hand. He only has 1 card in his back row. And I'm almost certain we just announced the effect of Talons to take control, chaining SP Little Knight though. Chaining SP Little Knight, banishing Promethan. Okay, take control of SP Little Knight there. That is almost game on the field. Or is it even game on the field? We have Malicious in the grave still. He's on 3,500 life points, and Nicholas is shaking his head. He is shaking his head. I think we have game on the field here. I think Thomas is in a rush playing through the field of Nicholas here. He is going second, going to do it here in game number 3. I think he is securing a X1 finish after day 1, and indeed